Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is NFL Power Rating Day. I'm very excited. This is Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. I'm Alex White, co-hosting today with my dad, Kenny White. How are you today?
Hi, Alex. Very good. Just never not enough time in the day, that's for sure.
I love Tuesdays, though, because we finish another week of NFL, and then we dive into our power ratings. Eventually, we will give out our top 10, which has some more movement compared to college. And we will also give out top 10 run offenses, pass offenses, and some alarming numbers against the spread that I have found that I'm excited to share with you. Of course, you gave me the numbers of who is running the ball most and who's passing. Let's talk about last night's games, though. 2 overs, which we do talk about those trends kind of evening out a little bit, and it was very heavy to the under going into last night. The Bills did it themselves. So let's start with that game. Glad that the steam came in on the Jags. Move that number down. We never saw the 6. I never jumped in on Jacksonville. And the Bills win 47-10 over the Jags. There's some concerns there. Now, 0-3 to start the season.
Most definitely. And, I was off on both games. I really thought that Cincinnati, both 0-2 teams, I thought would show a great effort on Monday night and couldn't have been completely more wrong on both. And I hate to be always teaching, but it took me a long time to learn this. It really did. For years, when I was betting, thinking, well, I've got money coming in. I can bet more on this. I really like that. It looks so good. It looks easy. Bengals are the way better football team. Rookie quarterback on the road. Lay the 7. They're going to win easy. But I don't do that anymore. It's probably been about 3 or 4 years now that I've been really just disciplined about how I bet. And money management. And I was trying to explain to you today that if you had $1,000 to bet with and you're betting 1% of that, you're betting $10. That's it. So if you had $1,000, you make a $10 bet, you don't have to worry about it. You just put it in your pocket and go on about your day. The better the sports, the more you're going to bet. So if you got $1,000 college football, I suggest betting $30. And that's it. Maybe 40 if you really, really like a game. But because when something does come up really good and you get hot at something, you want to have money left to bet with. So I couldn't have been more wrong yesterday in my baseball and football. It's amazing when you get a short schedule like that. Sometimes you have all the winners. Sometimes you have all the losers. Yesterday, that was kind of the way for me. But at the end of the day, I didn't lose anything. If I had a $1,000 bankroll, I lost $50 yesterday. Basically, that's what I lost.
You can't say that you're sorry for teaching all the time. I think that's why a lot of people are here and watching our show, because they do want to learn. You have been doing this for a long time, me included. I do have to say, though, not 30, 33, or 44. That's what you teach as well. That is what you're betting, right? Because of the juice, minus 110.
Right. Well, yeah. You're gonna add the juice in. I always think of that percentage, and I guess you could look at it a different way. That my percentage is what you're going to win.
Okay.
What I'm talking about when I say 10% or 1%, not 10%. But it's funny because I've talked to a lot of people along the way in sports betting, and from the big time groups to Billy Walters to the poker players and other sharp bettors that, a lot of them will take a shot every now and then. I remember tell you a story when I was working in the Santa Anita, a guy named Tommy Marshall. He was a really good poker player. He was a heavy set man and didn't like sitting at the poker table for 8 to 10 hours a day. And that's what he had to do to grind out. But he knew for sure if he sat there for 8 to 10 hours, he was probably going to make 5 to 10,000 that day. That's how good he was. But he didn't want to sit. He wanted to watch sports. That's what he loved to do. And he loved to bet on sports. And it was amazing. So many weekends. I think we went 8 weeks in a row where Tommy had a tough weekend. And then Monday night, he bailed out and bet everything he had on the Monday night game and won for 8 straight weeks. And then all of a sudden that came to an end. And, we didn't see him for a month because he was back at the poker tables playing, day and night. But,
That's just really consistent.
That was a 7-8 week run. You want to be consistent. I feel like I've been more consistent now over the last 4 years because I've managed my money so much better and have been conservative when the sports are not going well. When they're going well, you've seen me bet in college baseball and even minor league baseball. When it's going well, I'm round robining because I know I've got the edge and a huge edge. And again, I always felt like I have an edge in college football. Even at FCS, I really thought I was going to win this weekend in FCS, and I lost. I lost down 2 units this week in the FCS. So even if I felt that confident, I still don't feel confident enough that I'm going to go crazy on it. I feel like I'm going to win this weekend at FCS, but because I've made adjustments. And like I said, I think I said yesterday, you see scores come in and you're like, oh, I knew that. Why did I bet that? Because I knew that was going to happen. But you just keep adjusting and you stay in action and you're betting the same amounts all the time. And it's like just going to the blackjack table and you're betting $10 and $10 and $10 and $10 and then you get on a run and then you bet. And the one big system I've seen, and this changed my blackjack career around. I counted cards for many years and was kicked out of probably 15 casinos in my younger years. And I never bet big at it too. They just saw what I was doing. They saw I was winning and the chips were going up, but it wasn't huge amounts. And I never knew I should have been in with a group and I should have been counting and somebody else should have been acting like they were drunk, throwing around money and me giving them signals. If you ever watched the movie, that's what they did. They were smart. But blackjack's a crazy game. And some people say it's the devil's game because it is really hard to beat. But when I learned this system in blackjack, I haven't lost since. You got to play the standard rules, but you're looking for a streak, a winning streak. 1, you bet 1 on your first hand. When you win, you go to 3. So you collect the 1 from the dealer and you put another 1 up yourself. If you win that, you go to 7. If you win that, you go to 15. If you win that, you go to 31. If you win 5 hands in a row, you win 57 units. And you got to wait. It'll come. I used to play the machines and could never win and would be crazy that I feel like I won maybe 20% of the hands. But all of a sudden, when I started playing that system, I beat the machines every time I play it, and I beat the tables every time I play now.
My question with that is, when are you disciplined enough to say, okay, I'm not doubling up now?
No, you're on a winning streak. You have to win. So it's 1, 3, 7, 15, 31. You're taking the winnings and adding 1 each time.
Oh, okay.
To the bet. So you're betting $1, then you're betting $3 if you win. If you win that, you're betting $7. Okay. If you lose, you go back to 1. You're just waiting for that streak of 5 straight wins, and when you get it, you win 57 units. And it happens. I've lost 20 in a row before playing blackjack. That bad. I can remember sitting there and going, this is ridiculous. The dealer's getting 20, 21 every single time. And I used to hate it. Now I love it. Please go ahead, win as many as you want, because I know sooner or later now the odds are in my favor. That 5 winning streak is coming. And I've tried to figure out how to apply this to sports. And I kind of do with the way I bet now and betting a little bit more as you win. So.
Well, there you go. Blackjack by the book for you this morning. Keith Lyle should have been in this conversation because he did deal cards for a while. I do just want to talk about Jaden Daniels quickly. Completed 91% of his passes. Set a record for rookies. First year in the NFL. With his performance yesterday, I think a lot of that has to do with Cincinnati's defense, who has not been good for the last couple of years. And I think we tend to forget that because they have Joe Burrow. But yeah, so, I mean, very impressive. Chris Andrews brought up that he did start 50 games in college, more prepared for the NFL. And he was not afraid at Monday Night Football. Like you said, that was one thing that kind of threw you off. You thought he might be a little timid in the lights there.
Yeah, I really did, because I'm just going by history. I can remember now players have more experience. As Chris said, 50 starts in college is a lot. We look at Brock Purdy, what he did. He was a 4-year starter at Iowa State. So you do need to come from the bigger conferences. I guess a guy come from the Mid-American Conference that does go to the NFL and gets thrown into the limelight, he's going to get eaten alive. But I would have to go back to maybe between 2000 and 2005. I was keeping track of rookie quarterbacks and what their percentage was, and they covered the spread just 25% of the time. In all games, not just road games, if I went back and split it up home and road, rookie quarterbacks probably only cover 20% on the road because it is so much more difficult for them. But over the last 20 years, kids have really specialized in their sport. Parents have had their kids playing their sport more. Coaches are playing more games. They're in the weight room. They're getting bigger, stronger, faster, and they're just getting more experience. So that number's gone up. But I guarantee you, if you go back and look at the last 10 years, rookie quarterbacks starting in the NFL probably only cover about 40% of the time.
I believe it, definitely. And we're going to get to some crazy numbers here. And there are two teams that are in the pass-heavy offenses that have rookie quarterbacks. And I think that has been a disadvantage for them starting out. But before we get to the really good stuff, let's start with the pace of play. So top 10 quickest teams right now in the NFL. Of course, we still have to say small sample size. It's just 3 weeks, but we do have a little bit more of data. Do you want to go through those top 10 really quick for
I sure will.
For NFL?
We're going to go pace of play.
Pace of play, quickest.
Fastest teams in the NFL right now. And again, this could be a lot to do with the score of the football game. As you said, it's a small sample size. But the Dallas Cowboys are now the fastest team in the NFL, 25.9 seconds in between plays. Indianapolis, number 2 at 26. Atlanta, number 3, 27.1. Chicago, 27.3. Cleveland, 27.7. The Rams, 27.9. I don't know if I've hit a really good team yet, except for I do like Atlanta a lot. The Giants, 28.2. Jacksonville, 28.4. Detroit, there's a good team, 28.8. And then Philadelphia, 29 seconds. So we got a couple good teams over Detroit and Philadelphia. And again, I like Atlanta a lot, but most of those teams there were probably playing behind, had to throw the ball a lot, and were playing fast.
Well, Atlanta did 2 out of 3 of their games. One of them worked out for them against the Eagles, and then we saw that tough loss against the Chiefs, but they were playing from behind, trying to score at the end there. Looking at the slowest paced teams, starting with the Los Angeles Chargers, and Harbaugh really switching it up there, but if you want to continue from 2 to 10?
Yeah, I'll go. You mentioned the Chargers with Harbaugh, that they're the slowest, 33.2. New Orleans, 32.8. Green Bay, 32.4. Pittsburgh, 32.3. Tampa, 32.1. Washington, 31.9. That does include last night's game. Tennessee, 31.8. San Francisco, 31.8. They have been slow for years. We know that they're going to be methodical. It's just they're so good offensively. Buffalo, 31.6. And I believe the Jets would be rounded out 30.9 seconds in between plays.
How many good teams do you see on that list?
A lot. A lot of good teams. Not the name brand teams, but we know the Chargers had a couple wins. The Saints have played well. Green Bay has played well. Pittsburgh's undefeated. Tampa's played well in a couple games. Washington has 2 wins now.
Yes.
The Commanders, top of the division. And San Francisco and Buffalo are on that list. And the Jets. Jets are another good team. They're in my top 10.
Well, let's go to top 10 run-heavy teams as of now, 3 weeks in. And this list correlates with that slowest play. That's kind of why I did those back-to-back. But the straight-up wins from the records of these 10 teams in the ATS is pretty wild. But I'll let you run through the top 10 first, and then we'll go to those record numbers.
So we're going to go to the teams that run the most.
Yes.
Okay. In order, New Orleans has been number 1. Alvin Kamara toting the football 61% of the time. The Saints. Remember, this is a passing leg now. Teams pass 58% of the time. They only run it 42% of the time. Saints, 61%. Green Bay, 59%. Pittsburgh, 57% make that. Buffalo, 54%. The Chargers, 54%. Baltimore, 53%. Washington, 53.5%. And then a big drop-off, Alex, from Washington to the next team. New England is at 49%. That's a 4% drop-off. Detroit, 49%. Indianapolis, 49%.
So those last 3 are still a little bit heavier on the pass, but they even make it into the top 10. A couple things that really stand out to me is the Bills being that high with their run game. James Cook has been so good for them. You got to give Joe Brady, their offensive coordinator, credit because he has really capitalized in using Josh Allen's strengths, right? And I think that is why this team has been so successful so far this year. The other one that jumps out to me is the Washington Commanders because they do have a rookie quarterback with a great arm in Jaden Daniels, but not putting too much on him. And there are 2 teams in the other list that I will point out as well. But I think that And Dan Quinn, really good coach, defensive minded, right? And he is putting his young quarterback in a spot to succeed.
Yeah, and he's throwing some great passes. So, I mean, yeah, Dan Quinn could be putting him into a slot to succeed. But teams with mobile quarterbacks are going to have higher rushing totals because Jaden Daniels has run the ball 38 times this year. Their best running back, Brian Robinson, just has 45 carries.
Wow.
So he's run the ball just 7 less times, 2 per game, less than their number one running back. And when you look at that list, Buffalo, very mobile quarterback. You look at the
Baltimore Ravens.
That's my next one that I was going to get to. In Washington, they're right there with mobile quarterbacks. You know, a team like Detroit, who runs at 49%, they got Jared Goff. He's not going to run it a whole lot. So, you know, the teams that have mobile quarterbacks will have higher run numbers because of that quarterback. So,
the record numbers for these 10 teams: 19-11 straight up, 19-10-1 against the spread. Does that surprise you at all?
No, because I've been kind of looking at this for years, and even, you know, it's a passing league now, and we've been saying that for a long time. And knowing it's a passing league, I would always go back and look, and I always do the run percentage because I love to bet totals, and that's what I bet the most of. I want to know who's running it because that runs clock. Doesn't stop the clock when you run the football. When you pass the football, you have incomplete passes. It does stop the clock. There's more plays in those type of games. So I always love to look for two teams that are running it. And every time I would look at that run percentage, I'd go, man, look at this. Baltimore, San Francisco, Green Bay, all the best teams are always at the top of the run percentage. So that does not surprise me. But when I was telling you the list of teams today, the teams that throw the football, you said, and I'm thinking it in my head, and you go, oh, interesting. And I knew exactly what you were thinking because when I name these teams off, everyone that's listening and following today here, please like and subscribe to the show. You're going to think the same thing. Number one run team, Las Vegas Raiders, or pass team. The number one team pass. 69% of the time they're throwing the football. Dallas, 68% of the time. Cleveland, 67%. Cincinnati, 66%. Chicago, 64%. Tennessee, 63%. Houston, 63%. Denver, 62%. Jacksonville, 62%. And then Miami, 61%. The Rams are 61%. I mean, what do those teams all have in common?
Well, if you look right here on our graphic, so far this year in 2024, they are 8-22 straight up, 8-20-2 against the spread.
If you can't run the football, you can't win in the NFL.
Well, it's pretty simple, right? You can throw off the defenses. If you get your run game going, it opens up your pass game. And sometimes it's easier said than done. It's hard to get your run game going. You need a good offensive line. You need all the pieces to help get that going. But
a lot of it's scheme, but you're right. If you have a good offensive line and really talented. And have you ever coached football?
It's been a while, but no, I've not coached football.
I think coached the flag football team, the Powder Puff team at Gorman. You were the quarterback. So
yes,
and I'm saying, I never coached football.
You coach TJ a little bit, right?
No. I didn't coach football. He played his freshman year, but I did not coach. But I know one thing: the run sets up the pass, and that's exactly what you just said. And you've never coached in your life. Why aren't these people that make $10 million a year? Why don't they know that you have to run the football to set the pass up? They don't know. I don't know why they don't know. I don't know. The richest man in the world, Jerry Jones, couldn't afford a running back. Are you kidding me? Are you that cheap that you didn't want to pay Derrick Henry? And we'll go to Zeke Elliott. There's a 1.5 difference, and then the run game, you could add another point. That's a 2.5 point difference to your team. That one decision that Jerry Jones made for his team meant that they're bad and the coach is going to get fired. Or it could have been they're going to be great in one of the better teams in the NFL this year. Well,
sadly, I mean, they didn't even really need Derrick Henry, who is top 5 running back in the league. They had Tony Pollard there.
Did. Yeah, I love Tony Pollard.
Yeah, who was doing very good for them. So those are our numbers for today. I thought that was pretty good stuff. So and I called them pass happy today instead of pass heavy. Pass heavy. Pass happy teams, 8-22 straight up, in the first 3 weeks, 8, 20, and 2 against the spread. 19 and 11 for the run-heavy teams, 19, 10, and 1 against the spread. So just something to keep an eye on. I want to talk about a couple situational spots.
I want to jump in real quick.
Yes.
And I think of something that Vince Lombardi said when he coached, and he was a famous coach, won the first 2 Super Bowls. He dominated in the coaching era. And he said, I don't like to pass because there's 2 things that could happen. 2 out of 3 things. 3 things can happen when you throw the football. 2 of them are bad. Incomplete and an interception. And when we look at those pass-happy teams, the ball can be intercepted. And also when teams know you're going to pass, what does defense do? They pin their ears back and they come get your quarterback, and then he's forced to throw crazy passes. What did I mention yesterday? When you win the turnover battle in the NFL, you win the turnover battle, you cover the point spread 74% of the time.
Well, and that's why a lot of people were pretty upset with Sirianni when he chose a pass play to Saquon Barkley, his really good running back there.
That was a game they win easily. All they had to do is run the football. Obviously, he had to just catch it, but there you go, Vince Lombardi. 2 out of 3 things bad can happen when you throw the football.
I lied. We're going to reveal our top 10 now going into week 4 of the NFL. Then we'll take a quick break. And then there's some situational spots I want to take a look at going into week 4 of the NFL. I was actually talking to some of my friends out there in the sports book at booth number 23, Frank's favorite booth. We were talking about this. Couple teams that played back-to-back road games. Some of them are coming off an upset win. Some of them are coming off a loss, expecting. So we'll get your ratings, your numbers, kind of compare and see if we can dive into these situational spots. But first, looking at our top 10 going into this week, I will start it off. We're going to count down backwards. So making it into my top 10 for the first time this season is the New Orleans Saints. I know they're a little bit farther down your list, but again, NFL, it's not too big of a drop-off between each team. Saints did lose that game against the Eagles. We were on the other side, but they still played them tough. I think it was more of a little bit of a coaching, some question marks on the coaching side. Still a good team, still hung around in that one. Number 9, Houston Texans. They were a little bit higher going into this week, but had a tough loss as well. Pittsburgh moves from number 10 to number 8. 3-0 to start the year. We knew they had a really good defense coming into this year. We knew they just needed some good quarterback play. They have found that so far with Justin Fields. We'll see if they can keep it going. The Eagles stay at number 7. Actually, they might have moved down a little bit, but still in the top 10. Philadelphia Eagles coming off that tough loss to Atlanta. Bounce back spot. Good win over the Saints. Buffalo Bills, number 6, 3-0 to start the year. It was a lot about who they have played. I think last night showed that they are a very good team. They are also, when we talk about our power scores week by week, they've been a top team for me for 3 weeks in a row now. Number 5, Baltimore Ravens. Number 4, New York Jets. San Francisco is down to number 3 right now with their cluster of injuries, and still with the 3 top players out, they are still number 3. So when they get added back in, but Detroit Lions number 2 and Kansas City Chiefs are number 1 for me.
Yeah, I like it. People don't realize how much work that we put into this, and you're realizing it. And there is a lot of work put into looking over the box score, looking over the stats, and making those adjustments. Because again, we're trying to make adjustments so we make a better line each week. We need the better the line you have, the more money you're going to win.
It's very nice when you're going through and you had the exact final score, right? The team you had favored by 7 wins by 7, and the total lands right at 45. Look at the box score, not too many adjustments. It's those games that you were completely off and had a different, off on the side, different total, and then you really have to dive in and make those adjustments.
Well, I've always said, and when someone's doing their homework, because when they give you out plays, there's a lot of close losses. When you get plays from someone and they are way off on the final scores, and one game it's going to happen every now and then, because 1 out of every 4 games the outcome's a fluke outcome. That's why it's so difficult to predict. 1 out of 4, that's a big number. But when you get games from somebody and you see somebody's opinion and they're losing by their games are 20 to 30 points off, there's something wrong there. They're really not doing, they're not doing the right work. So they're not making the right adjustments. When you make the right adjustments, you find the right plays. You don't win them all, but when you lose, your losses are really close.
And that is something to keep an eye on, and just like monitoring that, because it's not just all about the eye test. You can watch a ton of games, but you really have to dive in and, have some numbers to go with it.
I do not use the eye test whatsoever. I do like to try to watch as much as I can, but I've watched very little of the NFL this year. I mean, I've watched 3 games maybe. That's it. And they're not 3 full games even. I don't really need to see these. The teams I need to see is college football teams and college basketball teams. But again, as much work as I do trust my numbers, and I trust my method and process that I go through, my adjusting process of the box score and reading through that. And it's, it taught to me one time when I was coaching baseball, and I would give a speech at the end of the game. My coach would go, you should kind of look at the box score, the book first, maybe before you. I said, why? He goes, because you said something about we weren't drawing enough walks. We walked 8 times today. Like, what? Seriously. So sometimes you don't realize, even if you were there in person, what really went on. When you start to dig deeper and you see what happened, it's a little different story when you see the numbers.
Right.
So here's my top 10. Seattle, number 10, a 103 rating, 3 points better than the average team. Geno Smith's been playing really well. He's proven he's an NFL quarterback. Their home field is really worth 3.5 points. The crowd's great.
Well, and their defense has been really good.
And their defense has been really good. You're right. But they got really good playmakers too.
Yes.
I have a log jam for number 7, Atlanta Falcons. I still have up there 104. They were right there with the Chiefs. Could have beaten them. Should have covered. The Jets. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's back. He's not Aaron Rodgers of old, where he's going to have an 8-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio. That's not happening. But he could be a guy that has a 4-to-1 ratio, which is going to be great for the Jets. And Pittsburgh. Always love Mike Tomlin. I should always just overrate their players, because Mike Tomlin does a great job. And I said this, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. If Mike Tomlin wants to coach another 10 years, he's going to break Bill Belichick's record. He's going to have the most wins by any head coach in the NFL, because he just wins consistently year after year. Buffalo, I've moved up. And again, I thought I may have had him underrated at the beginning of the year. They lost a lot of talent at wide receiver, and they lost a lot of talent in the secondary. But they have shown, if you got a great quarterback, you can overcome a lot of things. And Buffalo is now number 6 in my list. Baltimore, number 5. Philadelphia Eagles, number 4. Really good football team. San Francisco is down to 3. But that is with 5 points off their power rating because of Samuels, because of Kittle, because of CMC. And we don't know when those guys will be back. But when they do, San Francisco, I'm not giving up on them. I still have futures on them to win it all. It's the only team I have Atlanta and San Francisco, 2 futures. Detroit, 106.5, second best team in the NFL. And Kansas City, number 1 at 108.5. And what that means for me, now that I know that I've got Kansas City number 1, and they just beat Atlanta, I know what's going to happen. Kansas City's going to go downhill. They're going to lose some games in the next 5 games. I bet they lose 2 games. Watch.
Well, they are going to Los Angeles, though. They do play the Chargers. This would be a spot that I would want to jump in on the Chargers, but they have cluster injuries now, and that really worries me.
Chargers defense is beat up a little bit, and we don't know about Justin Herbert. No, I guess the medical test came back good. So just how much pain can he take, and is he going to be able to help the club? So we'll see. And remember, Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl with a high ankle sprain.
Yes, he did. And again, at the top of that list, trying to win 3 years in a row for the first time ever, Kansas City is. Started off to a pretty good start. Couple close wins there, but
quarterback play is number 1 in football. I mean, the great quarterbacks can do a lot. Like I said, Josh Allen lost a lot of talent at wide receiver, but I've always said kind of wide receivers are a dime a dozen. If you got a great quarterback and you give him time, you have to have an offensive line. They'll pick you apart. Look at Sam Darnold. He had no offensive line in New York. Horrible play. He was a little inexperienced. Now he has the experience, and he's behind a line that's giving him time, and he's got talented wide receivers, one of the best in football. And Sam Darnold's putting up MVP type numbers.
Well, we knew he did have the talent.
Yeah,
we're waiting to see
all
that.
These guys do. They're not in the NFL for because somebody liked them. They're there because they have the talent.
About Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, I don't think we put enough into the fact that Stephon Diggs was becoming a little bit of a prima donna. He was not working out in the locker room. They were not getting along. There was a lot of outside noise. So sometimes when they split, and now we're seeing kind of a full team effort here in Buffalo.
It's, like a tug of war. And if you got everybody pulling in the same direction, you're going to be more successful than a couple people not helping. You need everyone to be pulling in the same direction.
We're going to keep the NFL talk going just for a little bit here. I want to look into week 4, a couple situational spots. We're going to take a quick break, though. And then week 4 NFL, we have a college football game. We're going to give out a play already for Thursday's game. And we still got to talk about some Major League Baseball. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Sports by the Book.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Sports by the Book at the South Point studio. Again, you can catch us every morning here, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. On Saturdays, we are at 8 a.m. because college football kicks off at 9 a.m. So that is 7 days a week in the mornings, and then we have 3 great evening shows, the Football Frenzy. You just saw that great graphic. You can catch them again Thursday, 3 p.m., and then Friday with the bookmakers, Chris Andrews, Vinny, and Jimmy will all be here with Jeff Parles, and that is a 2-hour show from 2 to 4. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, Sports by the Book. Follow us on our social media pages, please, at Sports by the Book, and then on Instagram, at Sports by the Book LV. I'm Alex White here with Kenny White. We have been talking NFL for the last 30 minutes, our power ratings, talking about pace of play, all the good stuff you need to know to be more successful at sports betting. Go back and watch it if you're just tuning in. Everybody who has been here with us for the first 30 minutes, we appreciate you. Dean Hilt, Joey B, JR, Scott Pritchard wins, and Vicarious Vegas. So thank you for being active in the chat and for watching us daily. If you want to catch more of Kenny White, he has a Kenny White Bet the Gambit every morning at 7 a.m. on YouTube and Twitter. So you can follow that. And you can follow his Twitter at
K Whitey Vegas.
Thank you very much.
K Whitey Vegas.
At K Whitey Vegas.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff on there. I try to put up as much as I can. Try to put some ranking stuff and any information I have. But yeah, that's always a lot of fun. Getting more into that. But again, I wish there was more time in the day.
He's working on our commercial breaks.
Yeah,
for us.
I'm just amazed. I do so much work in Access and Excel, and if you just don't keep things the same, it just doesn't work out for you. I can't believe I had the wrong year in here for for weeks, and my access programs were loving it because I had the wrong week, and I just kept rolling with it. And then yesterday I said, I got to change this. And now I forget when you change it on one program, it reflects on all the other programs that you run and have to go now change. So I'm changing my daily NFL sheet. This will not happen again to me after today, which is great.
Speaking of Twitter and tweeting things out, or X, whatever we're saying now, we will also try and get those top 10 run heavy and pass heavy teams for NFL. And then yesterday we talked all about college football, giving you all those numbers for that as well. Big week, though, coming up for both of them. And we do have a college football play. I guess I will start there while you're finishing.
Yeah, I'm stalling. You're stalling for me, and I'm
NFL.
Almost there. I finally got these numbers to drop into my Excel spreadsheet. Now all I have to do is put them in my NFL spreadsheet. Week 4, I finished my ratings last night. It was great. And, I talked to you, and we did the college football game, went over the notes on that. And I really love the dog play. But yeah, let's do it. Go ahead. You have some plays here in the NFL. You like some angles. Let's do that.
Okay, going to the NFL. So there are just some situational spots. We've got Jacksonville, back-to-back road games, and now they are going to Houston. We saw them Monday night in Buffalo. Now short time to prepare. The best part about this is Houston was just on the road and lost as a favorite to the Vikings here. So let me make sure this is the current number because I do have Chris's original sheet. But Houston at home, laying under a touchdown. Thank you, Ann and Andrew. -4.5. Jaguars, back-to-back road games here as another underdog.
We had talked about scoring, and then all of a sudden we had a ton of points last night. You're talking about Houston? Houston, you're talking about practice? Houston, I made 4.5 and 50.5.
All right, so now it is 6.5. So it's gone that way. But
Jacksonville's desperate. Houston's desperate. These are two desperate teams.
So your number's right there. Nothing really popping out to you.
What did you make the
in
game?
That one? Oh gosh, now I'm not ready.
Well, good. That's good. Makes two of us. Runs in the family. Don't worry. You get it honestly.
NFL, WNBA. What do we need here?
NBA.
It's hockey season.
The Lakers today are -5 over the Clippers.
I printed mine out. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here we go. And I did that on purpose.
Family matters.
I made Houston a 6-point favorite, so I missed the best of it at 4.5. Nothing we can really do here. I did like Houston. Short week for the Jags, playing Monday night and playing back-to-back road games. But let's move on to a different one. Denver Broncos.
That is a tough one. You're right. Traveling for Jacksonville, and what's the mood of that? What's the mood going to be? I know Houston's still very much in love with their quarterback, and they have high hopes from the finish to the year they had last year. So, yeah, I would look at that. And again, I'm not playing the game, but I think we could get a high-scoring football game there.
Nobody wants to be right on this topic, but before the season, I did say Doug Peterson may be on the hot seat to be a coach to get let go first. And starting 0-3, and Trevor Lawrence is their guy, right?
Yes.
That's their franchise quarterback, so they have to put the fall on someone.
Yes, no doubt about it, and it would be Doug Peterson.
But he is a good NFL head coach. It's just not quite working out there.
He improved the Jaguars when he got there, so took them to the playoffs. But they made a lot of mistakes last year, and the poor start this year. You're right. He is definitely on the hot seat.
Let's look at another game here. How about the Denver Broncos getting their first win of the season against a really good Tampa Bay Buccaneers team? Now they are on the road again, facing the New York Jets. Current line is 7. I don't think we've seen much movement there, but I did make New York Jets closer to 10 here at home against this Denver Broncos team. So curious your thoughts on that. Jets are playing good. Back-to-back games at home, just beat the Patriots, and extra time to prepare because they were on Thursday night.
And at home, I made them 7.5, 38.5. Nothing for me there. It's, and again, it's not a teaser team for me either. I do need to have a difference and have like a play.
Okay.
So if I made it 10, then I would probably consider the Jets a teaser team. For you, the Jets should be a teaser, one of your teaser legs, and trying to find, a couple other teams to hook them up with.
Okay, fair enough. Let's just a couple more. Eagles at Bucks. Do you know what you made that one?
Yeah, I have them all now.
Okay.
Eagles 3 on the road and 44.5. Still think this is a really good team there. And their defense impressed me last week, which I thought that was the weakness of their team. Their offense is the strength, and they could not put points up on the road last week. And they were, it's a game of inches. They came up short a couple of times, lost the ball on downs, and turned the ball over in scoring territory. They were in the red zone. They just didn't get it done. But Philadelphia 3 and 44.5. What's the line?
It is 2 and 44. I made it 2.5 and 47. So the interesting thing about this one is the Eagles were in New Orleans as an underdog. Now they travel to Tampa Bay, and they are the betting favorite. Of course, on the flip side, the Buccaneers coming off a loss as a 7-point favorite, and now they are an underdog. But we made the number the same. Couldn't really just jump in there taking the points because of the situational.
Yeah, no, I have to have a difference. That's part of the process. Make your number and then, go from there.
Is it time to fade the Washington Commanders? Back-to-back road games played last night. Big win over Cincinnati, and then they go to Arizona. Cardinals coming off a 2013 loss. They've looked pretty good this year as well. Cardinals are 3.5 at home over the Commanders. Where's your number as of
I made
right
them
now?
5 and 50.5. And, again, that's taking 20% off what I would have made the two teams in the game. It really made this game 6. But I don't like to be on favorites, so I shaved my favorites down 20% just to make sure that I try to get more dog action than I get favorite play.
I do like that you have it 5, though, because, as I mentioned, Commanders, that was a big win for them. And,
yeah, it was.
And now they're traveling again, short week, so it might be a good spot to take Arizona here.
Yeah, and again, the numbers are 75% of the equation, 25% is the science behind it, using look-aheads, letdowns, revenge factors, and things like that. It didn't work well for me last night, but I didn't bet either game. I told you I wanted to take 6 with Jacksonville and wanted to lay 7 with Cincinnati, and I should have done it here at the South Point once I left. Could not find a 7 anywhere, and I was busy working. So fortunately for me, I did not lose 2 bets yesterday, but that's the one thing you got to shop around.
We'll get into this. We have another show tomorrow for a full hour, so we'll dive into this. I'll let you look at the situational spots a little bit more because I know we have your numbers right now. But
that's definitely a situational spot with Washington coming off a big win and then traveling short week to Arizona. That has to be worth a couple of points. I would have loved it if this would have been a 5:00 game. Because then that gets in the circadian clock type of deal. Ooh. That the East Coast team is out of their best time of the day and they're into their sleep mode more than anything, and the other team is still in their top part of the day. So that works out really well too. You get another thing that you have to add to your handicap.
That is one that I'm definitely going to star and look into even more. But let's talk about the triple option coming up this Thursday in college football. You have a great play in this one that you do like.
You say great. We have a great play. Should I bet more?
No. It's an equal play. Well, and that is something that you have taught me over the years as well. It doesn't matter if you have a 2.5 point difference, which we are looking for on the side, or a 5 or a 7. It is still, you're not doing the percentage so much anymore. You're betting the same amount on every game, and that is because we do bet more games, right?
I'll bet a little bit more when I really have a good feel for a game, and it fits into where I think my best bets are. I don't even think I know when I can lay less than a field goal on a team that I made more than a touchdown. That's always going to be the best play I have. And then opposite side favorites, yes. When I make a team more than a 3-point favorite and I can get more than 3 with that team, those are my best games. And those are competitive football games. When you're betting games in double-digit numbers, those are uncompetitive games, and anything can happen in those games. The favorite may not be ready, or late in the game, the dog does crazy things that they're not supposed to, and the game gets out of hand.
Well, let's go to Temple hosting Army right now here at the South Point. We've got Temple 13.5. I'm sorry, Army is the favorite. 13.5, total 45.5. Pretty high total here for an Army game, but
Yeah, we know Army likes to run, and we know Army plays extremely slow. Temple, their coach is on the hot seat. Stan Drayton did not do well his first 2 years, and then got blown out at Oklahoma. That's not a bad thing because you're Temple and you're playing at Oklahoma. Then they had to go play Navy on the road again, and they lost 38-11, did not cover, but rebounded. Now they made a quarterback change. Evan Simon started a quarterback game 3, and they covered against Coastal Carolina at home. They lost 28-20, big cover. And then I think you had that game, and you're like, oh, man, this is an ugly dog. And it was an ugly dog, but they covered. And ugly dogs do win. Utah State, the following week, at home, they won the game 45-29. Simon played another really good game. The team has shown improvement. And now they play Army. Army runs the triple option. And the one thing I always said, if you have time to prepare to stop the triple option, you may not stop it, but you'll slow it down. They're not going to run through you in chunks like Army did last week against Rice. Rice was unprepared. The key, I mentioned, Temple played Navy second week of the season. They prepared against the triple option for a week, and now they're back again at it this week. It's probably fresher in their minds. Oh, I get it. We know what we did wrong. We know how they beat us. We have to make those adjustments. And I think they will with their new quarterback, Simon. He put up great numbers. I think he's thrown 8 touchdowns to just 1 interception, 8.8 yards a pass. And if Army has a weakness, it's pass defense.
right.
So we're getting 13.5. This is the one downside. Temple is playing at Lincoln Financial Field, the home of the Eagles, 68,000 seats. They only had 11,000 people go to the Utah State game. That's horrible. And they normally get about 25,000. But with the win and a Thursday night, I'm hoping the Owl fans will show up. And if they can get 25, 30,000 in the stands, it will overcome the Army because, Army's got fans everywhere, and they're probably going to have 10,000 fans themselves there in that stadium. So I don't know how much home field you can give there. So I do have a 6.5 point difference, and I think that's about the right number, maybe 7. So I took the points. I already did take the points with Temple.
13.5 here with Temple. I'm with you because I made it 5.5. Then I took out home field. So yes, I have Army about an 8.5 point favorite, 5 point difference for me in that one as well. And I thought maybe I just didn't have these option schools high enough because that's kind of been consistent down the board for me going into week 5 of college football. And Evan Simon, just to finish that 7-1 touchdown to interception ratio this year, 8.8 yards per play so far, completed 65% of his passes. So has been a really good quarterback switch from the first 2 weeks to the second too.
Now, Jeff Munkin for Army has really done a great job. They've been the number 1 military academy team the last probably 5-6 years. Navy was before Kenny Matalolo, and Navy was the best of the 3. But Army's taken over that crown. They've won the Commanders-in-Chief trophy, I think, like 6 of the last 7 years. He's 64-56 coming into the year ATS. 64-56. It's a winning record, but when you add in the juice, he's basically 2 units up after all of those games. He is 3-0 this year, and he does win more against the spread on the road than he does at home. So they travel really well, Army, Navy, and Air Force, because they've got these big jumbo jets that, you could play a wiffle ball game inside. They're so big. But they travel well. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem with this game. The plus side for the ATS for Stan Drayton, he is now 9-7 at home. On the road, he is 2-10 ATS. So you want to bet against Temple when they're on the road. They're at home here, a little more comfortable, short week. They don't have to travel. Army does. So it's a good play, but again, you said it was a great play. Don't bet more. Just bet your normal bet on that game on Temple.
Well, and we have trends for both coaches to the under. So expecting a lower scoring game here. You're getting 13.5 points. with the dog. And, we've been on favorites on the weekday game. So I'm happy to take some points here with an underdog that I think can keep it pretty close.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. And I did tell you that last night that Army is this coach, Jeff Munkin, 40-23, 64% under on his road games. And Temple's head coach, Drayton, he is 10-6 under in his home games. So, yeah, we're expecting a lower scoring football game, points at a premium. You're taking 2 touchdowns in a game that we're hoping is, 24-14 final.
Well, that's it for football for today. Tomorrow we will have more college football, more NFL, diving into some specific games that we like or that we feel we have an edge or value on going into this weekend. But can't forget about baseball. We still have some MLB to talk about, and we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs. Shout out to Bryson Stott after the Phillies clinched their division. He had a UNLV helmet on celebrating in there, so that's a lot of fun. You'll see that on Punchlines, and that's a little tease. But let's go to some baseball games on the board. I talked about a few this morning. Any that jumped out to you right away, or any big differences that you see?
Well, number one, I've been waiting to talk about this guy for a week. Love it that he's throwing today. Bowden Francis for the Toronto Blue Jays, and that was a loss I had yesterday with Chris Bassett. They lose 4-1 to the Red Sox. Game went under because both guys are good pitchers. But Bowden Francis, when I looked at my sheet last time out, I thought for sure it was a mistake. When I went back to look, it was not a mistake. And this is his numbers over his last 5 starts. Median, 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, no walks, 6 strikeouts. That's his median start over his last 5. You can go back further than that. If I took his last 8 starts, that would be his median start. He has given up 22 hits in his last 54 innings. This kid has been unhittable. And you just got to back him. My number was a lot higher, $1.57, but with a 3-game winning streak by the Red Sox and a 4-game losing streak by the Blue Jays, it brought my number down to 122. But I think Francis pitches great again. I think Brian Bello will throw well. This may be a game that I'd rather bet under. I didn't bet it at all. I haven't bet anything in baseball today. I'll need to look over my sheet, but Bowden Francis. The numbers are ridiculous. Go look his numbers up. Go look at the game logs. He's thrown 6 innings or 7 innings in like 5 of his last 8 starts and only allowed 1 hit in 5 games.
Well, and the Red Sox get the win again yesterday, but now they have played 3 games in the last, 36 to 48 hours. They had a doubleheader on Sunday, played against Toronto yesterday after traveling. So eventually it's got to catch up to them a little bit.
You're right. They're going to be tired, and we could get that money back. And since I did bet 1.5% on a baseball game yesterday on the Blue Jays because I thought it was just a great spot with them and lost, maybe I can get a unit back here today with the Blue Jays and Bowden Francis. The other team was, the Diamondbacks have been a team that I've been betting just every day. It's like clockwork. And yesterday I said, first game back after a road trip is always the toughest one for them. They lost yesterday. It is a good pitching matchup with Logan Webb and Brandon Pfaadt, but I made the Diamondbacks here $1.90. They open $1.32, bet up to $1.42. The money is going my way, but the Diamondbacks are a team I'm going to bet today.
Like the Diamondbacks, and I like the under. The total sitting at 8.5. You made it 7. So I think there's some value there as well with both those pitchers being very good. Best pitching matchup on the board, though, Logan Gilbert and Framber Valdez. Mariners get the game yesterday. I think it was 5-1 over the Astros. But now I think this is a good spot with Framber Valdez and Houston at home here.
Here comes my Mariners.
I know.
They're making a run. I think they're a game and a half out right now, and the big win last night. This is another big game for both teams today. I had it over yesterday. I lost, and again, a lot because both of these teams are such good offensive clubs. We know how good Houston is, but Seattle has really been swinging the bats as of late, and they are on fire. Looking at my offensive stats here, everything is in blue, and it's in dark blue. Seattle at 144 weighted runs created the last 3, and a 182 for Houston. The pitchers numbers are all in red. Framber, last 5 starts, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. And Gilbert, outstanding pitcher, 6 innings, 4 hits, but he has given up 4 runs. So he's had 3 bad starts in his last 5 where he's given runs up. 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. He does pitch far better at home than he does on the road, but he's still got great numbers. Even though he does pitch better at home than on the road, his numbers on the road are still really, really good. So
the Mariners are still a game and a half back. So right now the Orioles up 4, Royals, Tigers have the next 2 wild card spots. The Twins just 1 game back, and then the Mariners a game and a half back. The tough thing that for you is the Tigers. We talked about them yesterday on Punchlines. We got 2 pretty easy series after this one. Then they go to Chicago.
You have the White Sox.
For the White Sox.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. And today's Tarek Skubal Day. Just another guy that when they run him out there, you just bet on him. He's one of those guys the team knows when he pitches, they're going to win. 2.48 ERA, 0.94 whip, and 185 innings. He is 17-4 personally. And I didn't make the number that high. Just couldn't make it. Tampa Bay is a great organization. They've won 4 in a row. Their guy, Pepio, who's pitching today, has got really good stuff. He's going to keep him in the game. I think that, would have loved to bet it under, but it's already been bet down to 6.5. So I got to stay away, but it is Tarek Skubal Day. All he does is win. This
is a really good card. I mean, there's a lot of good pitching matchups here. A lot of teams playing for something still, so should be fun to watch this here.
You mentioned that I think the Logan Gilbert Framber Valdez matchup is maybe one of the top pitching matchups that I can remember from this year because of how high I've rated Valdez and how high Logan Gilbert's rating is on the road. And when you look at their last 3 starts, hitters are hitting 194 against Gilbert, 164 against Valdez, and that's almost the entire season. These 2 are going to get outs. They're going to lock horns. I've talked myself into an under bet the first 5 innings.
It's hard not to with those 2 on the mound. I get it. Let's visit our friend Ryan McCormick. He's going to tease what we've got going on at Punchlines coming up here at noon.
Yeah, at Punchlines FN, separate YouTube channel, but we've got Matt Neverett, the voice of the UNLV Rebels, the football team that is currently ranked 23rd in the coaches poll. Their play-by-play voice, the play-by-play voice of the Las Vegas Aviators. All as well will be joining us on the desk, Frank Nicotero, Matt Neverett, and myself. We'll be talking about the WNBA tonight with the 2 playoff games in action, the NFL action that we saw over the weekend, the 2 upsets that we saw last night on Monday night. Well, one big impressive win by the Bills and 1 upset by the Washington Commanders. And, of course, the final week of Major League regular season baseball we will be talking about. So at Punchlines FN, separate YouTube channel at noon today.
Very good, Ryan. And see, they are covering every sport. We are supposed to do that in the morning. We forgot about WNBA. I feel terrible.
All right, just go under in both games.
Okay.
I like under in both. They're playoff games. And you got to look at the dog. The favorites won all 4. They're supposed to. They're at home. Maybe a little letdown. And when a team has their back to the wall, they play much better. And I think that you'll see that tonight out of Seattle. Hopefully.
She was not on the injury report list yesterday.
That's a big bonus for Seattle. And that's why the number has come down. Agabor, she's their number 1 defender, the rim protector, rebounder, scorer. Seattle has built this team for success, and you're getting 8 points. Vegas will be happy if they win by a basket.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really good game. Atlanta, it's a little tougher against Liberty, but, I mean, if you add in a few points for revenge, desperation going into this elimination game, I think it's a play on both dogs as well.
I like it under. New York's defense has been just tremendous.
I think that's the better way to play it as well, going under. We do have one question here for us. Thoughts on games in NFL in path of Hurricane Helene under the play in many games in the Southeast this weekend, NFL and college. Did you understand that?
There's a hurricane coming in. In the Southeast. I have not looked
So
at
is
that
under
yet.
the play, I guess, that he's asking in those games in the Southeast.
If it's going to be windy, yes. Wind, that type of wind will affect play, and make sure it's a major stadium that the wind swirls. Because if it's end zone to end zone, it helps one team out and it hampers the other team. In those games, they can be extremely high scoring if it's end zone to end zone. So know which way the wind is blowing. And I'm going to do that. I've got my data miner working on a program for me, and it'll be for you. You'll be able to use it as well, that we'll have all the information with the click of a button. from every game for every stadium for the time that they play. So trying to simplify things to give me more time.
Exactly. Yes.
To do more of my day.
Yes. So, Joey B, thank you. We will look into that and have a better answer for you tomorrow. Thank you to everybody that has been watching. This is Sports by the Book. Again, subscribe, follow us on social media. Thank you, Ryan, for the preview of Punchlines. Make sure you go over to that YouTube channel. The rest of the week is going to be a lot of fun as well, including Bob Zaney on the desk Thursday. That's going to be hilarious. So make sure you join them Thursday. I'll be back Punchlines tomorrow. And Andrew, thank you so much behind the glass for all of your help. For Kenny White, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. on Sports by the Book.